Martin Daubney here on GB News. Now, a leaked medical report has shown that Emaine Khalif, the controversial women's boxing gold medal winner at last year's Olympics, is actually a biological male. And results from the boxer's sex test at the 2023 World Championships have emerged and confirms what most people already suspected. But what took so long, and why was he able to compete against women at the Olympics last year? Well, we can now speak with the inclusive culture expert with CC Change Happen, Joanne Lockwood. Joanne, welcome to the show. So what's your take on the fact that the medical records have come out and it seems to prove conclusively that Khalif is in fact a biological man?
Hi, Martin. Thanks for welcoming me back. First of all, standard respect, dignity applies. This person is a woman. Appreciate that doesn't necessarily align with your belief system, but in common society, we should be referring to her as a woman who maybe
It's nothing to do with my belief system, Joanne. It's the biological evidence. It's not a belief system. It's the difference between truth and fantasy. The truth
but Martin, as you know, your belief system doesn't allow you to just willy-nilly misgender people and treat them with that respect. So could I just ask, we refer to Iman as a woman, as she, please, for this interview. But anyway, going back to the point at hand, the test results we're talking about here are the ones that were produced by the discredited test that was already been discussed and discredited. These were leaked. I don't know whether these test results are accurate. They were discredited. But what I do know is this person, this woman, was born a woman, raised as a woman, and has lived as a woman all of her life. And what we're now doing is we're now judging her based on how she looks, how she sounds, and how we perceive her. And I think this sets a worrying precedent that we're going to be seeing more and more women who don't conform to the gender stereotype of normal, whatever that may be, being sex tested by having their mouth swabbed. I think it's regressive. We're going back in time to an era when this was abhorrent, and we've moved past this. And it just shows that the world's gone crazy.
So, Joanne, in that case, do you think it's progressive and it's forward-looking to see somebody like Emaine Khalif pulverise a woman to the point where they're on their knees crying, clearly physically mauled, physically outmuscled in every aspect? Is that the progressive side here?
Well, we know there's been some media conspiracy here. Some of our opponents we know have been paid money to pull out competitions, to create this fuss. So boxers know when they get in a ring, they're going to get hurt, they're going to get hit. Whether Emaine Khalif herself is stronger, I don't know. I don't know whether she is or not.
Well, you can see that. You can see that by the physical attributes. I mean, just look at the evidence before your eyes. Forget about your belief system. Look at the evidence with your own two eyes, Joanne. Look at the physical stature of Emaine Khalif. Look at Khalif next to their opponent. Simply no chance whatsoever.
I don't know the biological status of these two boxers. I'm saying you're telling me there's a test. These leaked results, which again were from a discredited one. But what we need to do in sport is we need to look at how we're judging people and whether what we're saying is you develop physically as if you want to use the term biological woman. There are many biological women. I've seen them on the rugby field. They are very, very large, 6 foot plus, very muscular. So just because you're a biological woman doesn't mean to say your muscles are less effective and less developed than a biological man, if that's the terms you want to use. So what we need to be careful here is what we're doing is we're holding up one example of a biological woman versus someone who is intersex or their biology is indeterminate at this particular point in time.
Joanne, could I just interject? The pictures on our screens now, for the benefit of those who aren't watching or on radio, is of Emaine Khalif absolutely battering their opponents at the Olympics. My children watched this, Joanne. They were almost in tears. It was so abundantly cruel and unfair, the physical punishment being doled out. In what world, if you're not sure about the biological reality of Emaine Khalif, why take the risk? Why just say we're not sure, and on the basis of that, it's simply not fair to allow what could be male on female violence to be televised, to be broadcast around the world. I think it was almost heartbreaking to watch that boxing final.
What you're showing are these pictures in this video right now is a boxer beating another boxer. If you could show a similar video of the opponents who lost in this competition beating their opponent in a brutal way. So what we're doing is we're showing a victor beat a loser. And I appreciate what we're doing is we're drawing conclusions for their body size, their body mass, how they look, all those biases that are going on in their head. But we're looking at a person beating another person. I bet I could show you videos of another boxer beating another boxer, which looks equally brutal, and they're both female.
Yeah, you could. You could show very brutal fights between two women. I've seen them. You could show two very brutal fights between two men. I've seen them. I'm a huge boxing fan. I'm not a fan of what I perceive to be male on female violence. And if there's a single scintilla of doubt, Joanne, why take the risk?
What I would say is we need to go back to people like the IOC. We need to go back to sporting bodies and create fair and inclusive rules that are objective and scientifically proven. At the moment, what we're doing here is we're casting doubt on previous IOC rules, previous competitions where this person was eligible to compete, validated to compete, and creating shock and horror. We're raking this back up again for political capital.
It's not political capital. It's about fairness. It's about abundantly clear evidence that anybody can see with their own two eyes. It looks cruel, it looks punishing, it looks painful, and the evidence seems almost conclusively to prove that Khalif is a biological man. That's what's come out, and I appreciate you don't agree with that sentiment, but the evidence seems to be against your position.
No, what I'm saying is I don't know the facts. We have a leaked test that was discredited by the IOC. It wasn't admissible. Until we see true evidence, I can't say. Okay. We can see with our biased eyes that one person looks bigger than another person, one person looks more muscular than another person. But that's competition. We've seen lots of sports around the world where a person beats another person, and that person is generally bigger.
OK, Joanne Lockwood, we have to leave it there. Thanks for your opinion. I appreciate the balance coming on GB News. Thank you. Now for Insurgent.